So let's check this out. Gaming is not a waste of time. It is not enjoying yourself doing whatever the fuck you want is not a waste of time, all right? But if someone actually did the research, that's actually like, if there are like health benefits to that, I will accept them, like quite frankly, like gladly.
Let's be honest, most of us have had that moment where you're a few hours deep into a gaming session. Maybe you've just finished a big mission or wrapped up a boss fight, and suddenly it hits you. What am I doing? I could have been productive, I could have gone to the gym, could have learned something, I could have fixed something or built something. That sinking feeling, guilt. Like, gaming is this unproductive, passive escape. And the thing is, that feeling doesn't just come from nowhere. It's built into our culture now, into our routines, and the way that we measure value in adulthood. So let's break down exactly where this guilt comes from, because if we understand it, we can start to dismantle it. The modern world runs on output. You're judged by your job title, how busy you are, how much you're grinding. Work culture, especially in the UK and the US, pushes this unspoken rule that downtime has to be earned. If you're not using your time wisely, you're wasting it. And gaming, that gets lumped in with the mindless entertainment bracket. But here's the twist, you're not wasting time at all, you're recovering. Research from the Journal of Media Psychology shows that video games are one of the most effective forms of active recovery.
I think that like this is true, but the problem is that like the perspective that people put on gaming and on actually just enjoying life these days during this era is actually the wrong one, because each time you try to recover from like get to recovery time, you feel sick because you feel like you should have done more, and because of that there is like this like enjoyer, like just like resting guilt, right? You rest and you feel guilty about like resting because you could have finished, and the problem is that like this is really something about perspective, and this is like pure psychology, where like the problem is that like if you feel guilt when you are actually supposed to have fun, you will actually not rest, you will actually not recover, you will not you will actually like make yourself like burn out, you will burn out, and that's the problem. So yeah, this is like really interesting what he says, because like it is something that actually do not happen anymore. So yeah, like, and I think that like once you're able to like kind of like take back like take some distance with like career life, destiny life and everything, like when you are able to feel more at peace, that's when your resting guilt cannot be felt, you know, and you actually just like resting and recovering and healing from to go back at it again. But like this is the problem, is that like now it's like the problem is that like you fucking like stay take a fucking break, and you regret it. This is how much the capitalistic in the capitalism as injured us as people. Think about it. You take a break, you do not feel deserving, and you feel that you are missing out, right? Or something like that, right? This is this maybe you can, maybe I'm wrong about this, maybe maybe you can see it as a conspiracy, but like for me, like this is like a a real consequence of modern era capitalism. Anyway, let's keep on going.
Especially for people who feel drained or overworked. In fact, games do a better job at recharging mental energy than passive activities like watching TV or just scrolling through your phone. Why? Because they demand focus, they offer immediate rewards, they create a sense of control, all of which are linked to lower stress and improved mental resilience. Think about it, if you finish work, your brain's been on edge all day with deadlines, decisions, distractions. You need something that lets you engage without that pressure, something that gives you structure without stress, and games fill that gap better than almost anything else. Gaming is not just a way to pass time, it's a way to recover. If you're overworked, stressed, or mentally drained, gaming is a
Also to find creativity, like to become creative, to be inspired. Like there are like many other ways. Well, like it's true.
deliberate, healthy choice to reset your mind. Even though the gaming industry makes more than music and movies combined, there's still this cultural undertone that games are for kids. When people talk about gaming, it's often in the same breath as cartoons or toys or just
Yeah, and you see the fucking money bracket that like some fucking like games have like are in, you know, like think about like the CSGO like rare skins and stuff like that that goes out for like prices that no one should ever fucking talk about. Like that's the thing, it will change. The problem is that like it's still like an industry made also for children. It's just that like everyone is part of it. It's such a beautiful industry, like, and adults and teens and children. But like, yeah, people calling gamers idiots, that's not a new one.
simply wasting your youth. That stigma sticks, even if you're 30 and gaming is your main form of entertainment. But let's look at the facts. The average gamer is 32 years old. Over 70% of gamers are over 18. Nearly half of gamers are working professionals, and many of them play games to cope with stress.
Wait, wait, what the fuck? Nearly 50% are like, I'm guessing that like because like not everyone is like some people are studying, because like this sounds like 50% of gamers. Is it just fucking like this don't work, bro? Like it don't work, friend. Like the 50%, 50-50. I see you in Valorant. I see you in League. You're networking. You're
Half of gamers are working professionals, and many of them play games to cope with stress, improve focus, or stay connected socially. Gaming hasn't stayed in the teenage bedroom, it's matured with us. We're now playing narrative epics with 100-hour runtimes, games that explore trauma, grief, politics, philosophy, games that require decision-making, logic, skill, planning. Nobody looks at a 30-year-old who reads sci-fi books or watches 3-hour films and says, "Isn't that a bit childish?" Yet somehow, gaming still does get that label. That guilt that you feel, a lot of it is cultural baggage, but the stats show that gaming is not just for kids, it's the dominant art form of our generation, and you're not alone in enjoying it. Here's the thing, we're taught to measure value by output. What did you produce? What did you earn? What did you achieve? But gaming is rarely visible. You can't show it off in the way that you can show a gym body off or a home project. So
you can if you're part of a community, but the problem is that like loneliness in gaming is something that is really present as well, because community it's been like it's hard to connect.
It's easy to look at your gaming hours and feel like they've amounted to nothing, but that's a complete lie, because games don't give you external value, they give you in.
Let me just check one thing real quick, I swear. Okay.
Internal value. They give you focus, challenge, mental stimulation, structure and flow, a sense of mastery, and most importantly, they give you joy. Psychologist.
Absolutely true about everything, and confidence as well, problem solving skills. For For some people, it teaches languages. Like, think about like how many people like learn English thanks to video gaming. So many reasons, right?
I'm not going to try to pronounce that
Many benefits. You won't
name, but
try to pronounce that name? Okay, I will try to pronounce that name. Michali Zigzend Michali. Huh?
but, you know, it's on the screen for you to give that a go. Anyway, they coined the term flow state, that feeling of being totally immersed when time disappears and your brain is firing on all cylinders. Gaming is one of the most reliable triggers of flow state. That's not a waste of time, that is peak mental function. And if your mental health, mood and motivation improve after a session, well, that's real value, isn't it? Even if it's invisible. Just because you can't show it doesn't mean it isn't valuable. Gaming trains your brain, it improves your mood, and it gives you meaningful internal rewards, and that counts. So yeah, it's easy to feel like gaming is a waste of time, I get it, but that feeling isn't based on any kind of truth. It's based on outdated ideas, cultural pressure, and a world that constantly tells you to do more. But here's the truth, gaming helps you rest, gaming connects you to stories, gaming makes you feel something. So, in my opinion, gaming matters. If gamers
And so do you, and your ways to pass the time, to enjoy your life. This is the important take that, like, oh my fucking god, capitalism, like, is such a nightmare to live in.
really was just a waste of time.
But at least, like, cool one, you know?
If it truly had no value, then explain this. Why is it the biggest entertainment industry in the world? Because that's what it is. Gaming now makes more money than movies, TV and music combined. Not just sometimes, but every single year without fail. Let's start with the numbers. According to Newzoo's Global Games Market Report from 2024, the video game industry is worth over $184 billion.
Yeah, because of what? I'll tell you. Because of the fucking Sims buying the skins.
Across 200 billion within the next year. Now compare that to the global movie industry at 80 billion.
Take away the Sims from the gaming, from us gaming consumers. Like, gaming won't be that big.
The music industry at 30 billion and Netflix's 2023 revenue 33 billion. In other words, we spend more on games than we do on all other media. And it's not just casual mobile stuff. AAA console game and premium PC titles, you know, narrative adventures, complex RPGs, that's where a huge chunk of this money goes. People aren't buying games just to pass time. They're buying them because these games mean something. Look at the record-breaking launches. So you got Grand Theft Auto 5, which earned $1 billion in 3 days. Oh, it's raining. The Last of Us Part 2, which sold over 4 million copies in a weekend. Elden Ring hit 20 million units in under a year. Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year, with a player base rivaling major Netflix releases. This isn't just a big business, it is literally a culture. You are part of the largest entertainment movement on Earth. That's not a coincidence, you're not wasting time, you're part of a global experience. For a long time, people treated games like disposable toys, but over the past decade, that has changed dramatically. We now see video games taught in universities, dissected in cultural journals, awarded at mainstream shows, and studied as art. In 2012, the Smithsonian hosted The Art of Video Games, which featured Mass Effect, BioShock, Shadow of the Colossus, and The Legend of Zelda. In 2020, The Last of Us Part 2 won Game of the Year, Best Narrative, and Best Audio Design, categories once dominated by films and TV. Game narratives are now compared to classic literature. Design is compared to architecture. Soundtracks are performed by live orchestras around the world. And games aren't just storytelling tools either, they're empathy machines. In Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, you experience psychosis through the eyes and the ears of the character. In Papers, Please, you're a border guard making moral decisions in a dystopian.
It also explains stories, like, there are ways to just, like, they offer ways to explain mythologies, but also, like, history in an interactive way. Not it's not always like completely true, but like it's not always completely false, you know. And it's a good way to invite people to actually like care about these things, you know, like countries, like history, mythology, like science, you know, like
regime. No other medium immerses
better ratios.
you quite like this, not even film. Games aren't just games anymore. They're literature, they're art, philosophy, psychology, design, music, narrative, all fused into one. That's not childish, that is a masterpiece.
And for I think that like for someone uneducated or children, this is a good leeway to actually discover and be invited in the world of art itself, and this in the idea of becoming an artist, because like back in the day it was like so difficult to actually like experience it and to understand it, and now I think that like video game allow for a new way to for people to connect and to become artists, which is important because like more artists, better world. What can I tell you?
Of human creativity. There's another reason that gaming is so huge. It connects us. In 2023, Twitch averaged 2.58 million concurrent viewers, watching other people play, laugh, struggle, succeed. YouTube gaming has exploded with playthroughs, long plays, retrospectives, and gaming commentary. Discord is a gamer's version of social media. Reddit gaming communities are among the largest communities in the world. So, this isn't a niche hobby. This is how people actually socialize. Cooperative games, they build friendships. Competitive games foster teamwork. Single-player games spark online discussions. Story-driven games create shared emotional experiences. And streaming allows you to share your gameplay with the world. Every single-player RPGs now come with online communities dedicated to theory crafting, role-playing, modding, lore analysis, and discussion. Gaming is no longer something that you hide, it's something that you openly talk about. It's a way of building your identity, of being part of something much bigger. Gaming is social, it's cultural, and it's connected. It brings people together, online and offline. So when you catch yourself feeling like gaming is just a waste of time, look at what's around you. Billions of people, billions of dollars, awards, recognition, innovation, art, culture, connection, creativity. If all of this was truly worthless, then the world wouldn't be paying so much attention to it, but it is. Here's the truth. Stats and figures aside, you have one.
Stats and figures aside, fuck stats and figures. I'll tell you this. If, just enjoy your life, and do you understand how fucking terrible life became for everyone if someone actually take the time to actually do the research to reassure gamers that their passion, what they're fan about, is not a waste of time, to reassure teenagers that do not know better and that are not sure if it's the right choice to spend their time alone, rather than I don't know, working, doing academics or doing stuff like that. Other people, do you understand how fucking bad things became for us if people they actually really care, really lovely people actually take the time to reassure us that what you're doing, kid, playing the playing Fortnite, right? Like the meme, right? Well, the kid the kid that actually likes it and grew up with Fortnite and fucking Call of Duty and everything. Well, he's not sure, and I think that it's really grim, the fact that we as a community, the elders within this community, take the time to reassure other people that don't worry, man, it's not you, just enjoy it, maybe it's a me thing, but I think that it shows how dark things are for people if just a passion that is so obviously beautiful and just like awesome, such as gaming, should need to be reassured about, to be reassured. People need to be reassured that like they're not fucking wasting their life away just because someone that doesn't fucking like gaming, doesn't fucking like them, fucking said it, you know. Like, this is how grim like things are, I guess.
One life, and your free time, the hours that aren't claimed by work and responsibilities, that time belongs to you. Gaming isn't a waste of that time. You're doing something that makes you feel joy, presence, peace, whatever it is that you get personally from games, and that is enough. The need to justify your hobbies, to make them productive or educational or profitable, that pressure doesn't come from you, it comes from a culture that doesn't value rest unless it's earned. But here is your permission, you don't need to earn it, okay? You don't need.
Yeah, and you know, like, you think that like for someone like me, it sounds stupid to fucking see that, right? But like, to some kids, this video, and thank you so much, Dom's Gaming Channel, like, to actually do it, to some kids that will actually watch it, they will actually like live better thanks to this video, exactly, you know. So thank you so much for taking the time to care about the problem that like an insecurity that gamers have just because we get fucking like insulted, hated for no reason, you know. We're just passionate.
Need a reason to play. You don't need anyone else to approve. You don't need to feel guilty for doing something that you love. This is your time, this is your life, and if gaming brings you peace, meaning, or just a bit of happiness at the end of a long day, then what on earth is the problem? Listen, life is about making memories, okay? And memories, they either come from joy or trauma most of the time. Now, I guarantee you that you have a lot of gaming memories, and I highly doubt they're traumatic. So what does that tell you? It tells you that gaming has brought you immense joy in the past. At the end of the day, when we're old and we're looking back on life, all we have is 1, the people that are around us, and 2, our memories. So please don't ever think that gaming is a waste of time. There are so many games that you haven't played yet that can become great memories for you. Whether that's with friends or if it's you on your own, there are so many more gaming memories to be made that one day you will look back upon and be glad that you made them. Now, as you may or may not know, I'm not very good at goodbyes, so...
This was really, really, really great video. Thank you so much, Thomas Gaming, for caring about gamers. Like, this is really awesome. This is really awesome.